viewers, welcome back to this NPTEL course on ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. In the last class, we were discussing about SDG 1 to 5. So, today we will start the discussion, brief discussion about SDG 6 onwards. Okay. So, these are some of the key words: water crisis, affordable energy, sustainable economic growth, inequality, all these will be the key words. Now, we will proceed towards the SDG 6. Okay. These are some of the things, expected learning outcomes which are there. Then SDG 6, that is ensure the availability of the sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. So, SDG 6 primarily focuses on clean water and sanitation, which are very essential for leading a sustainable health, sustainable lifestyle, etc. So, as all of us, we know that water is a very essential component of our life, and it constitutes almost 65% of our even human body and 90% of the structure of the plants in our ecosystem also. Water is very important component. So, therefore, but however, where the lacunas are, where are the gaps in our environments. So, why clean water and sanitation is very important, not only for our health, but for infrastructure, but for sustainable environment, sustainable ecosystem, even the plant life also. So, let us see what is the status of this clean water and sanitation for us, for in India especially. So, the fundamental element that is, it is very much threatened, even though it is a very fundamental element in our ecosystem, in our life domain. So, but it is seriously threatened because of because of the pollutions, because of the pollution of the rivers, then air pollution and shortage of water due to irregular season, that means irregular seasonal rains or the disruptions in the seasonal cycles, climate change and all kinds of things. And maybe that in India also some of the regions are dry land areas, desert areas, some of the things. And so, primarily because of the climate change and seasonal disruptions, irregular symptoms, etc. So, we are falling short of the rainwater, so which could not be harvested properly, and so sweet water, the rainwater we are falling short of. So, which therefore, even though the water is available in the ocean areas, but the salted water cannot be consumed by us, and in order to recycle it, to make it salt free or consumable water, or make it drinking water, it will be very expensive, highly expensive affair. So, that is so water shortage happens because of the overpopulation, pollution, air pollution, and overcrowded and irregular overcrowded cities and gradually shifting and the plantation more, that means decreasing plantations, plant areas, and that means high demand on in the urban cities in terms of the buildings, constructions, all kinds of things. So, that is another reason of decreasing greenery in our environment, and affects the ecosystem, and moreover climate change and the irregular seasonal rains also, that affects the scarcity of, that causes actually the scarcity of water. So, and due to the lack of water, again the cleanliness, clean health, sanitation, all kinds of the cleanliness are not being maintained properly, and that causes the unnecessary diseases, unnecessary disease, death rates, and that means unsustainable habitat, unsustainable living standards. So, that is how to ensure the clean drinking water and clean sanitation and all kinds of things, how important these are for the sustainable health, the sustainable life, etc. That is important, and SDG 6 actually focuses on how to achieve this for our society, global society by 2030. So, now all of us, as we are very much familiar with, the Prime Minister has already made a massive you can say massive goal achievement in terms of in terms of sanitation, by by preparing, by allowing, by letting the every household in the rural area to have their sanitation or toilet of their own, construction of the toilets, and the air, for reducing the air pollution. Again, cooking, energy sector also, cooking gas also, free gas and cooking gas for every household. So this is a major step, massive massive drive we can say towards this clean energy and the clean energy and the sanitation and the clean water, etc. So from this onwards, again, so how to ensure the availability of the sustainable management of water and sanitation? So it actually, if we provide the affordable equipment and education for hygienic practices, etc., we can stop this senseless suffering, because that also needs the health education from the very beginning, at the primary level. Even the community people, rural people are also, community people, they are also to be made aware of, their awareness would be enhanced, and and how the shortage, the scarcity of water can be mitigated, can be resolved. So that is also another thing. So safe and affordable drinking water for all, every citizen by 2030. So for that matter, we need to invest adequately in the infrastructure to provide the good sanitation facilities and encourage the health and hygiene education, etc., and protecting and restoring the water, like for example rainwater harvesting and other kind of reservoirs, other kind of water cleaning system, cleaning infrastructure, and restoring our ecosystem with more greenery, plantation, all kinds of how to catch hold, that means the whatever rainwater we are getting, how to store it, preserve it, and how to use it throughout the year sustainably. So that is also another challenge. So for that, we need to invest in the infrastructure, in the education, in information, even in the technology development also, how to ensure that we have sufficient water and water resources, and we are substantially and sustainably using it for minimum, for our basic needs and basic household uses, etc., and without wasting. So how sustainable consumption of water and without wasting it, how to retain it, store it, that is another thing, and how to invest in the health and hygiene for updating the information, uplifting the awareness of the rural people, both rural and the urban slum areas, especially by providing them the facilities and all the kinds of education and information regarding health and hygiene. So this is the India's water crisis, as you can see, an alarming is an urgency, that especially as you can see, it is in the slum area, urban slums. It is in the urban slums, it is a major problem. In the big cities like the Delhi, Bombay, all the metropolitan cities, this is an alarming problem, urgency. So then you can say, so what is the data about the water availability in India? So water availability per person is dependent on the population of the country. As we divide it in, there is the GDP, and similarly the per capita water availability, as the population increases, definitely the per capita availability of the consumption of the water also decreases. So as we can see, the data says that the average annual per capita water availability during 2001 to 11 was 1816 cubic meters and 1545 cubic meters respectively, which further decreased towards 1486 cubic meters and 1367 cubic meters towards that means meters in between 2021 to 2031 and 2031 respectively. So it is gradually decreasing. The water per capita use of water is reducing because of the overpopulation, population explosion, etc. So therefore the Ministry of Urban Affairs and Housing, so they have stated that 135 liters per capita per day has been suggested as the benchmark, as the optimum level of water supply. But for rural areas, again a minimum service delivery of 55 liter per household has been fixed under the Jal Jeevan mission of our government of India, which may be enhanced a little bit, enhanced to a higher level by states, but provided we have the availability of water from the different sources, from the underground sources, from the rainwater sources, and from other sources where we can store it and use it sustainably. So, similarly, so National Commission of Integrated Water Resource Development also the percentage of water used for the irrigation, again why we need not only for the household purpose, but irrigation, agriculture irrigation, that is again everywhere water is required, even in the factories, even in the business houses, even in the everywhere water is, you can say, it's an essential. So, major percentage again is being used for the irrigation. So, that is our crops, our harvesting, our seasonal, that means seasonal food products, and again foods, then the agricultural things, manufacturing agricultural thing, all kinds of things get affected due to the shortage of the water. So, during 97 to 98 it was 83.30%. So, the water used for the irrigation was itself. Now, gradually it is decreasing because of decreasing, and because of the seasonal disruptions or insufficient rain, etc. But how to mitigate it? So, that is why the Union Ministers of State for Jal Shakti and Social Justice Empowerment, he has written that in reply, we have to take the active steps, and we have to store it, preserve it, conserve it, and we have to opt for the multiple sources of water retention. Then again we have to sustainably use it, consume it, use it, and sustainably, and store it for the future person. And for that matter, we have to be very strategic, we have to invest in infrastructure, we have to uphold our technology to to reserve to. And again, for safe drinking water also we have to use, that means water, how the water can be, clean water can be produced through different processing, through different processing which are healthy and hygienic way of getting this safe drinking water. Even if the water is available in the different points in the rural areas, but again throughout the pipelines when it has been cracked somewhere, the all kinds of how hygienic these things are. In foreign countries, they are that means they are drinking water, and the water they are using for bathing purposes and other purposes, they are of the same quality. That means so pure, that means how they purify it for all kinds of things. In other countries, there is no difference, like this is drinking water, this is the normal use water. So, there is the same water they are using. That means how particular they are, because now so many waterborne diseases are because of the drinking water only. If you are not getting the proper right drinking water, then all kinds of the waterborne diseases will come up. So, how to curb it? And yes, definitely education is the major platform. Education, making people aware, that is the main you can say main way of solutions, moving towards the solutions. So, this is, you can say, per capita water availability in India, as you can see, from 1947 to now it is up to 2011, and this is 2025, this is going to be this one, and gradually slowly towards 2050 the cubic liter is this one. So, how it is gradually decreasing, and because of the overpopulation, insufficient water resources, and seasonal disruption, all kinds of the causal factors. Then the next sustainable development goal is goal 7, that is for the affordable and clean energy. So, how to ensure the access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, modern energy for all. Again, all kinds of the pollutions, that is, you can say air pollution, even to some extent the water pollution and other kinds of pollutions are happening because of the that is of massive use of this fossil and fire energy, and coal energy and all kinds of the petroleum products, or the carbonized petroleum products. So, this is again, it causes the environmental pollution, degradation, and especially the air pollution, etc. So, how to get the clean energy? So, that is not only that there is the scarcity of energy that present, because that is over-exhaustive, that is coal, then thermal coal related energy, then again petroleum product energy, and this kind of and the fossil fuel energy. So, now we have to shift our base towards the clean and sustainable energy. So, that is where nowadays we are focusing more on the solar energy, how to capture the solar energy, wind power energy, and hydro energy, of course, hydro energy. So, we have to we have to redirect our technology, our infrastructure, technology, research, not only to meet the challenges of climate change, but also to create a sustainable and clean environment with the minimum, with a zero carbon footprint, that is through getting the access to and producing the affordable and clean energy, especially from the, you can say now we have to enhance our technology for the solar energy, wind power energy and hydro energy. So, these are the things so that is why investing on the solar energy, wind and thermal power, improving the energy productivity and ensuring the energy for all is vital for SDG 7. And even if you are using the petroleum products, but how to make it super fine like gasoline, even the oil rich countries also, they are also using the superfine petroleum products, that is called the gasoline, for all kinds of their communication and transport purpose. Similarly, we have to ensure that whatever, not only we create the other alternative energy sources like solar energy, wind energy and thermal energy, which has the which have the minimum carbon footprint in the environment, but we have, so whatever we are existing things we are using from the petroleum products, that we have to also refine it and use it sustainably. So, expanding the, therefore, definitely expanding the infrastructure, upgrading the technology, more investment, providing the clean and more efficient energy. For it is a very important factor for all the countries, but that not only saves our life, that is not saves, but we have to make it economical, and we have to make it sustainable for the growth and development of the environment, conserve our environment resources. For sustainable development, there is about all the three domains primarily: people, planet, that is the environment, and our economy. Three things are to be sustainable. So, therefore, by sustainable production, sustainable use, we have to not only minimize the cost of its production, but move towards the cost effectiveness and sustainable economic growth. At the same time, for our use, use also, human resource use, day to day use also, and for not only for the household energy, but for the industry, for the agriculture, for everywhere. So, we have to use sustainability which can ensure the minimum carbon footprint or damage to the environment, ecosystem, and conserve the resources for the future. So, that means we have to, that means there it should be this affordable in the sense that there will not be any kind of saturation. So, solar energy we can capture it, because it is not going to perish, it is not going to end. So, so long as the sun is there, we can capture the solar energy, but the cost effectiveness, the technology, it has to be improved. Similarly, wind power energy, hydro energy also, So, the technology, investment, everything in infrastructure, it has to, all these things have to enhanced and upgraded. So, and whatever we are actually, we have moved, the government of India has actually made extraordinary success in recent energy development, energy research, and energy, facing the energy challenges by investing in solar energy and wind power energy. But this COVID pandemic actually has created a major disruption in this process. And nowadays, what are the developments that has happened, that is bringing the electricity connections to hundreds of the millions of citizens in the remote areas, in the rural areas, and high efficient LED lighting system in our urban cities and factories, etc. That also saves our energy. Similarly, massive expansion of the renewable energy sources by the solar power, by the wind power, by the research in the hydro energy things. Now, almost most vehicles are coming up with a battery, which are the chargeable battery energy vehicles. That is also the latest development in the research of energy consumption, minimum energy consumption, and energy conservation. So, how to, again, whatever the challenges that we have faced during this pandemic, how to mitigate it, So, similarly, even in the rural areas, the household, every household, they are, because they were being provided with the 60 million people were being provided with the gas connection cylinder, and the pollution was actually causing because of the rural people's reliance on the solid biomass and the mainly firewood for cooking fuel, etc. And that was the reason for air pollutions, and that has been mitigated, resolved to some extent by providing the gas connection to every rural household and families. So, now this for the solar energy creation, solar energy. So, explosive growth in India has taken place, and matching the coal share in Indian power generation. Also, that is there are different steps are also taken even the solar in the sustainable development scenarios. It actually the solar accounts for less than 4% of India's electricity generation. So, and still we are dependent on the coal up to 70%, but how to make it a balance, how to reduce these things and rely and enhance our reliability and the growth in the solar power creation, solar energy creation. That is the biggest challenge for in solar, water and the solar, water, hydro energy and the wind power energy. How to leverage it, how to leverage these resources whatever available in our environment. So, solar revolution has already, solar power revolution has taken place. So, it is predicted that by 2040, so the converge in the low 30% steps towards gradually improving. So, India's policies, ambitions, etc. totally they focus on 450 gigawatt of renewable capacity by 2030. So, that by 2030 at least we can ensure this clean and affordable energy by 2030 for our country. So, similarly, there are rise in the utility scale renewable projects, also different projects, all our mega projects, be it construction, be it agricultural, be it electricity plants, be it railway, be it transport, everything will massive deployment of the generators and all kinds of electrical machineries, vehicles, all these things are required. So, how to run these things without clean and sustainable energy. So, that is the biggest challenge for us before us by 2030. So, these are some of the strategies taken by the government. So, from now for example, rooftop solar panels, solar thermal heating plants, water pumps. So, how through solar energy the rooftop solar panels can be established, and how solar energy can be captured for different not only household purposes, but for even for the water pumps, which even for the running the plants, small plants, everything, how solar energy can be leveraged, can be captured and used and utilized. Then SDG 8 is that is decent work and economic growth. Here again from the energy and water, now we are focusing on economic growth, as how the economic growth can be possible. Because through only by creating the sustainable jobs, decent jobs for everybody, so that we can ensure that all our people, all manpower are actually manpower are updated, skilled manpower are invested in the right kinds of the economic growth, or through creating jobs, employments, and small scale entrepreneurship, as well as the big investments in the mega projects. So, that can only by achieving this decent work and decent work, we can enhance our economic growth, and we can remove this extreme poverty or the zero, we can achieve the SDG 1 and 2. Okay. So, therefore, how to ensure it? So, how to ensure? So, 34% of the total employment, a number that has almost tripled between 91 to 2015, but we have to go a long way by 2030. And this, yes, definitely this pandemic has given a challenge, a disruption in our growth and in the growth process. So, how to mitigate it? So, the global economy, again the global economy is also continues to recover the things, whatever the also witness the slower growth and witness other challenges, etc. So, similarly, but how to overcome these hurdles, how to, so international labor organizations also say that more than 204 people were on unemployment in 2015, and during this pandemic also so many, that means economic standard, the GDP has lowered, and the economic productivity of the country has lowered because of these disasters, either in the pandemic way or in the natural disaster, all kinds of things. So many, we have to take the strategic steps in terms of creating more jobs to boost economic growth, technological innovations, and also promoting this small scale entrepreneurship by boosting the startups, and how to, so all these social challenges, how the social challenges are to be resolved to ensure the better job employment, better skilled manpower, and move towards economic growth. So, for this all these three domains, people, planet and the prosperity, all these things to be put together to work integratedly. So, that what is sustainable economic growth? The economic growth occurs the real output that increases gradually increases over time. So, so the gross domestic product GDP also, it's a that means you can say it's a landmark, it's a you can say it's a benchmark for mapping our economic growth. So, sustainable economic growth means a rate of growth which can be maintained without creating other significant economic problems, especially for the future generations. Not only we are sustaining progressing in a sustainable way presently, but also we are ensuring that the same kind of growth, economic growth for the future generation. So, this is the sustainable economic growth, the trade off between economic growth today and for the growth of the future, how the government should change the market policy, monetary policy, economic policy, and how our central banks should act up and should work on this policy strategies to reduce the price level down and to create more jobs and to to give more money in the hands of the people, so that the purchasing power of the society of the people can be enhanced. All these economic policy, financial strategies and economics policies are to be updated, revised that means in the context of the global economic scenario. So, to bring that sustainable economic growth by 2030, to ensure that sustainable economic growth by 2030 for India especially. Then again yes, industry, innovation and infrastructure by, so how to achieve build the resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive education, sustainable industrialization, foster innovation by 2030. Because again now in order to for it is also another way of enhancing or ensuring the economic growth. So, unless and until we invest in our innovation, infrastructure and industry, we cannot move towards the economic prosperity or the economic growth. So, that is why investment in infrastructure, innovation are the crucial drivers also for the economic growth and development. So, that is why, so half of the world's population, they are living, mostly we are living towards, mostly half of people are living in the cities because of the because of the resources, because of the opportunities, because of the availability of the energy. So, that is why how to improve our especially not only the rural but urban cities, the infrastructure and industries, etc., to ensure that smooth not only for the smooth creation of the employment opportunities for people, but economic growth and small industries, small scale industries, and again even the enriching and the service industries through technology, through information and communication technology, through transport system, through supply chain, through management management strategies, all kinds of things. So, everything is depends on the again if we want to establish our society as a sustainable society, then again equally we have to invest on our infrastructure. So, that is now this so that the government has also initiated the FDP, the foreign direct investment in India, as and in massive investment in enhancing our infrastructure. So, that is the strategy, the biggest strategic steps taken by the government to boost the industry and innovation and infrastructure in our country. So, which can facilitate for FDP, foreign direct investment in our country, more creation of the jobs, employment opportunity and the sustainable economic growth for our country. So, these are some of the strategies by providing new jobs, promoting energy efficiency, promoting sustainable industries, promoting scientific research, innovation, and promoting the bridging the digital divide. That means by uplifting the access to information and communication technology, innovation, research, entrepreneurship, and boosting the startup business both in manufacturing and service industries by giving the seed money, giving the loans to our small time entrepreneurs, etc. So, the next so India's goal number 9 is you can say the government's flagship intervention is Make in India, Start of India. These are the major schemes of government of India, but as well as the similarly Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's Sharmev Jayate Karyakam are also fueling the innovation for sustainable industrial and economic development, and the targets are like the develop the quality, reliable, sustainable, resilient infrastructure, including the regional trans-border infrastructure to support the economic development, not only across the regions like the Southeastern region or the Southwest region, Southeast region, but also globally, to focus on the affordable, equitable success for all globally in the global context. So, these are some of the affordable credit system, then loans and for small entrepreneurs, small scale industrial and other enterprises, increasing the access of resources of these things towards the financial services. So, these are some of the strategies that the government, like similarly the farmers in the agriculture sector, also farmers are also getting the loans, subsidies, etc., to invest more in the agriculture, farming, etc. So, these are some of the strategies, some of the steps, some of the avenues that the government is providing to create more and more jobs and to sustain the economic growth. So, similarly the scientific and applied research, especially the investment in the fundamental and applied research, upgrade the technological capabilities, and then again so that is these are the strategies to upgrade the infrastructure of our industry, and then enhance to strengthen our research and innovation, and for the implementation and the boosting the startups for the implementation of these outcomes in the social sector by improving the service sector primarily are some of the steps. So, therefore, to facilitate the sustainable and resilient infrastructure development in developing countries, to enhance the financial, technological and technical support system, that is very important, not only for the underdeveloped countries, but still for the developing countries. And developed countries are, they have to share, they have to help out in terms of technology transfer and outsourcing some of their resources, and trade by enhancing the trades, increasing trades, trade treaties, etc., and by investment FDPs in the foreign direct investment in this kind in developing countries and underdeveloping countries, to help them, to facilitate them to move towards the economic growth. So, these are some of the data regarding this investments that has been that I have procured from the internet source. So, now the next SDGs 10 is reduced inequalities. So, by working on these major things like food, energy, water, infrastructure, then how can we again, our focus is how to reduce this inequality that exists in our society. So, inequality in terms of income, inequality in terms of access to education, inequality in terms of access to health facilities, again inequality in terms of pricing of the day to day the routine, that means basic needs, basic foods and the basic commodities in our market, availability of the sufficient basic commodities in the market, and the price control, and all kinds of things. So, these things kind of then to facilitate the safe, even when the people are migrating from one area to another area. So, how to facilitate that kind of marketing policies, that commodities availability, and all kinds of the, that means all kinds of the services which are available. So, how can we reduce, how can we remove this inequality among the people of from both rural and the urban sector, and how to how to generalize it, how to equalize it, harmonize it towards the sustainable growth and that means equal access for everybody towards the education, health and basic foods and commodities. So, here also you can say that we can ensure to ensure minimum wage available to the minimum wage available to the daily labor, to the food security, to the that means minimum access to the health services. So, all these things are to be updated, uplifted for reducing the inequality among our citizens. So, there are other forms of inequalities in terms of ethnicity, then violence against women, disabilities, class, religion, creed, all kinds of differences, gender, age related. So, things, all kinds of the inequalities are to be removed, because these poses both the internal and external challenges to our country, to our 5-year plan, to our system. That has to be how to reduce this inequality in terms of policy. Here laws, policies, judiciary system, this plays a very vital role, but at the same time social consciousness, people's consciousness should be also be enhanced through awareness, through campaign, through media, through workshops, through intervention programs, through counseling, through all kinds of the active or volunteer services to be provided from time to time to all the citizens, especially the rural people. So, this problem of inequality, that how it exists since long and how to mitigate it, these are some of the data is available in comparisons, and what is the status in different countries, in areas like the China also, how COVID-19 has affected. So, all these things is the market data, stock market data, that shows there is a global increase, 60% of the global increase in poverty because of the COVID-19. So, how to deal with these things? So, yes, definitely World Bank 2017 World Bank has also with its population being 17.8% of the world, how World Bank has also been affected, and how additionally India also shares the world's extreme poor also in higher it is higher than its share of the world population in comparison to India's population, how it also suffers from this poverty. So, these are the data available in World Bank data and other platforms of the database. So, now the next is the SDG 7, SDG 11 is that sustainable cities and communities, how to develop the sustainable cities and communities by not only educating people, but enhancing the living standards, consumption styles, production, air quality, ecosystem, cities. So, how to nowadays this government's also initiative is that mega cities, how to convert the mega cities as the smart cities, and what are the ideal features and of these smart cities, including its transport to drainage to water to pollution to all kinds of things. So, how to build these mega cities into a very sustainable community, and sustainable cities, are the smart cities with all features of sustainable development goals. So, that is the SDG 11, 11 that has to be achieved by 2030. So, starting from that, as we have discussed, starting from the that is, therefore, we have to invest, we have to increase the investment in public transport, creating the more green space, green public space, improving urban planning, management, then even the water supply, drainage system, transport, communication, everything, A to Z. So, how to ensure? So, it has to be again not only planned strategically for the sustainable future, but also with the cost effectiveness and high tech equipments, with high technology and infrastructure, all kinds of things. So, that the minimum damage to be the minimum damage will to affect the environment, economic growth, and the society and the community should be more sustainable with living standard, health, life, education, quality of life, everything. So, these are the targets under goal 11. So, the targets like by 2030 ensure the access to all for all to adequate, safe and affordable housing, basic services, and especially upgradation of the slums. Similarly, affordable and accessible sustainable transport system, communication system, and expanding the public transport with special attention to the vulnerable section, like of the society, like the women, children, elderly persons, persons with disabilities or older person, etc. Similarly, to strengthen the effort to protect and safeguard the world's culture and natural heritage. Similarly, by protecting our cultural heritage, especially the local, the indigenous people's culture, their practice, their habits, like habits in that means food habits, all kinds of how to ensure it. So, taking care of the cultural heritage, natural heritage, and the local people, how to ensure the this goal 11, that is sustainable communities and sustainable cities and smart cities, without damaging, without destroying the ecosystem. So, these are some of these targets, because under every goal there are so many targets. So, by 2030 to reduce the adverse per capita environment cities, all kinds of things, by provide the universal goal to achieve the sustainable cities by 2030. So, that is another primary sustainable development goal. So, for this right now I have to stop it here. The next class we will continue with other as the remaining SDGs, that is from 12 SDG 12 to 617. Thank you very much.